we hear the news that Macho Man Randy Savage is going to be the first inductee into the 2015 WWE Hall of Fame. Talk about a mark out moment. I said this on YouTube, but those of you that don't check us out on YouTube, I gotta tell you the story because it's hilarious. It must have been about maybe 1:30 in the afternoon. I was enjoying my lunch break, and normally when I'm on my lunch break, I'm kicking back and I'm playing a little bit of Puzzle Quest, Marvel Puzzle Quest. For those of you that's curious, that game is addictive as hell. Love the different tournaments that they have going on there too. But I was kicking back, messing around on that. Next thing I know, I get a little notification from WWE, and normally I disregard the messages that I get from WWE, but I just went on ahead, I read it, and it said that WWE is expected to announce on WWE Raw tonight that they'll be announcing the induction of Macho Man Randy Savage. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? This is fucking awesome. What the hell? And like the first thing I did was, my God, I gotta go on YouTube. How the hell can I do this? And I like grabbed my tablet, I grabbed my cell, and I was like, I need a quiet place to go. And of all the places I could think of, I went into the men's restroom and I just cut the video right there. It was hilarious as hell. It was definitely a very odd moment, you know, to be on location and breaking the news that way to our subscribers on YouTube. But there was nothing but love, a little bit of lighthearted jokes here and there, but there was nothing but love that came as a result of me covering the news and all of that. That's just how excited I was. I just wanted to take to YouTube, share the news with everybody, and everybody is just happy, at least for the most part, from what I was able to gather. A lot of people were happy hearing that Randy Savage is finally going to go in. You know, I mean, you just think about the Randy Savage story, Macho Man, the Randy Savage story DVD that came out not too long ago. And really, we had Macho Man's younger brother, the genius, Lanny Poffo, to really thank for all this coming about, because Lanny doing that Macho Man DVD with WWE is really what had got the ball rolling. And of course, to make things even more interesting, you have Vince McMahon do that infamous episode of the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast on the WWE Network, where Stone Cold had Vince in the hot seat when he asked him, what's going on with Macho Man Randy Savage? Will he be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame? And Vince says, yeah, it'll happen. And Stone Cold's like, is it going to happen sooner rather than later? And Vince is like, yeah, it's going to happen soon. I can't really tell you when, but it's definitely going to happen sooner rather than later. You know, so you're kind of hearing that and you're like, what the hell is going on here? And then here we go. We get this bomb of news. TMZ was the first to kind of break it out, and WWE, they tried to play with the whole, it's expected that he'll be inducted. He'll be announced as the first inductee, but we're not really sure. I guess you'll have to tune in to Raw tonight to see if it is going to go down. And honestly, come on, when you put two and two together and you think about all those little skits that they had of the wrestlers doing their Macho Man impersonation, you know, that should have sealed the deal for you right then and there that it was going to be happening, all right? But for me, I grew up as a kid watching the Macho Man. I'm ecstatic. This is a long time coming. My only gripe is that I wish this would have happened while Randy was still alive. I wish Randy and the WWE would have came together, and whatever bad blood had went down between the two parties, I wish it would have just got squashed and we could have had this go down already. But unfortunately, Randy's no longer with us. Now, it brings me to the second point of this topic, which is the person that's going to be inducting the Macho Man Randy Savage. And, you know, for a lot of us, we're thinking, well, Hell, maybe it's going to be Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. After all, he had one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. It is a match that still gets talked about to this day. Randy Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at WrestleMania 3. I mean, from beginning to end, the ring psychology for that match, a very riveting story. I'm not going to give the finish to you guys, but if you are a aspiring wrestler, you need to watch that match. Everything you need to learn about being a wrestler, getting it all down, that match tells a very riveting story. But Ricky Steamboat doesn't look like he's going to be an inductee. Macho Man. Would have been a very smart move, though. So then you kind of say to yourself, well, hell, what about maybe Vince McMahon? I mean, supposedly there was a lot of black blood that was going on and all that. Why not Vince McMahon? You got me. Vince McMahon was not announced, though. I mean, for me, I wish that it would have been Vince McMahon, because it really would have been nice to hear Vince McMahon really open up for the first time and maybe even talk about the circumstances of he and Randy having a little bit of heat for so many years. Shit don't get no realer than Vince McMahon inducting Macho Man Randy Savage. I mean, that is like must see when you hear that. Whoa, who's inducting who? What? Vince McMahon is inducting Macho Man? I got to watch that shit. I got to see what's going on, you know? But no, not Vince McMahon. And for those of you that might be a little bit curious that do not have the Randy Savage story DVD, Vince McMahon did not make any appearance at all on that DVD, nor did Triple H. Just FYI. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe just the documentary part of Macho Man, the Randy Savage story, is now on the WWE Network as they premiered the documentary part Monday night as soon as Raw went off the air. But no, it's not those two guys. So, who is it? Maybe Lanny Poffo. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, right? Maybe he's going to be the one to induct his brother. No, the person that's going to be inducting Randy Savage is going to be the immortal Hulk Hogan, and that just made a lot of people very pissed, because a lot of people, they know in their hearts, because Randy Savage, he's let it be no secret over the years that he doesn't like the Hulkster. You know, there was bad blood going on between those two guys. I mean, look, man, I know the man's past and everything. It'll give you a laugh if you check this out. But a lot of the stuff that he had to say about the Hulkster is just captured, I think, so eloquently. And I'm saying that sarcastically. There was a Macho Man rap album that was released way before Macho Man had even passed. And there was a song that he dedicated to Hogan. I think it was called Be a Man, Hogan. All right, them two, you know, and it's so weird because you got the Hulkster. He's saying, oh, well, you know, before Randy passed, me and him, we had made peace. And you hear that, you're like, whatever. That sounds like a bunch of bullshit. You got to keep in mind, this is the same Hulk Hogan that had said, oh, yeah, well, you know, originally I was going to be the bass player for Metallica. I actually did a tryout and everything. He said some shit like that. And I remember Lars Ulrich from Metallica, he was like, I don't recall anything like that happening. Maybe I might have met him, not when he was Hulk Hogan, but maybe under his real name at a party or something like that. But no, I would have remembered something like that. No, he never came close to being our bass player. He never did a tryout for us or anything like that. You know, it is so funny too, because like on future interviews, podcasts since then, like nobody has had the balls to say to the Hulkster, hey Hulk, Lars Ulrich is saying that, you know, you were nowhere near close to becoming the bass player for Metallica, he doesn't even recall you having a tryout or whatever. You know, what do you say to that? As Lars is kind of implying that, you know, maybe you're lying, or hell, call it for what it is. You are lying, you know, but, you know, everybody's just so caught up in, oh, we got to talk to the Hulkster, you know. Very interesting situation right there. But, you know, you hear this news about the Hulkster being the one to induct Macho Man. I mean, you think about the mega powers, you think about the long history that those two men had together when they were fighting with one another. They went through their ups and downs together, not only in the WWF, but also in the WCW. As we should note for you WCW fans, that it was actually the Macho Man Randy Savage that had reached out to the Hulkster and said, hey man, I want to get in on this WCW. What's going on? I'm looking to get in there. And Hulk Hogan, he did everything he could to get Macho Man in there. A lot of people forget about that despite all the drama that was going on between those two guys, when it came to WCW, the Hulkster was the one that brought Macho Man in there. He orchestrated the whole deal, got everything set up. Now, as we told you guys a couple of weeks ago, off and on, that WCW, they ended up not paying diddly squat for Macho Man, because it was Slim Jim that basically had picked up on his salary, because when Macho Man came over to WCW, so too was his Slim Jim deal that he had set. And we should also note that leading up to this very episode, Hulk Hogan was quoted saying in an interview that he did a couple of years ago, apparently, he had made peace with Macho Man Randy Savage right before he passed. Now, I know that might be a little bit controversial to some people, but I have a couple of very valid points that I want to make for you all. So just bear with me for a couple of minutes here. So yeah, the Hulkster, he had said in an interview from a couple of years back that he made peace with Macho Man. Basically, it was a scenario where I think Hulk Hogan was maybe at a doctor's office or something like that, and he ran into Randy that way. I believe it was a case where either the Hulkster was with his new girlfriend at the time, or Macho Man was with what would end up becoming his wife. I can't remember the circumstances, but they had crossed paths, and you know, the Hulkster, he tried to extend a handshake to Macho Man. He tried to talk to him and everything, and it was a very cordial type of interactions. And the Hulkster had extended to Macho Man, hey, why don't you come to a barbecue? And Macho Man was like, that's too much too soon. Let's instead settle for a phone call. Let's do that first, and then we'll go from there. And unfortunately, the phone call, I think Hulk said he talked to Macho Man a couple of times, and they were able to kind of bury the hatchet, and there was supposed to be a barbecue with everybody, Lanny included, but it never happened. So you kind of hear that, and then you hear how the Hulkster has been making his rounds on social media saying, hey, spoke with the Poffo family, Lanny, everybody else, they're definitely behind this. It's nothing but love when it comes to me inducting the Macho Man. Nothing but love. You know, that's his way of kind of dying down the hotness that's going on right now. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of fans that are upset at the fact that it's going to be the Hulkster that's going to be inducting the Macho Man. Here's the Hulkster trying to die down the flames and basically say, hey, look, the family is behind this. Why can't you all get behind this? You know? So you kind of have to put that in the back of your head that at some point, whether some of y'all may want to believe it or not, and I really think that it's the truth, and I'll tell you why, but the way it's coming off right now, the Hulkster genuinely did make peace with the Macho Man. If there was any type of deceit, if the Hulkster was bullshitting around, if this story was not legit, don't you think that Macho Man's mom would have said something by now? Don't you think Lanny would have said something by now? I mean, you just really add it all up, and it really does kind of come off as if this is a rare case right here where Hogan is being legit, and I think he needs to be given props. I mean, yeah, he said some stuff that maybe would make a lot of people question whether or not it's legit, but I don't know. It seems like as of late, past couple of years now, and maybe it's because Hogan's kind of getting up there in age. Maybe he is really starting to realize that his career is at one point going to come full circle and that his days are pretty much done, you know, especially when he looks at guys that he's worked in the industry with that are passing right before his very eyes. He's probably feeling humbled by everything that's going on. And, you know, maybe the last little bit of his goading years that he has left, he's just trying to make sure that he does right by other people. And if that's the way he's trying to operate now, he definitely has my respect. I wish him nothing but the best. I appreciate the way that he's trying to operate, and I think more people need to kind of understand that. It's easy to talk from the standpoint of when you're not up there in age as Hogan is. Very easy to pass judgment and all that, but I tell you, once you start to get up there, you start to feel a little melancholy, you start to feel very reflective, think about past mistakes you made, how you treated certain people. You want to make sure that you end things on a good note, because tomorrow ain't promised to you, man. Your ass can go out at any fucking moment, and that's the truth. A lot of history that those guys have. Honestly, I can't think of a better person if not Vince McMahon or Ricky the Dragon Steamboat or Lanny Poffo. I can't really think of a better person than the Hulkster. My only concern is that I hope that the Hulkster is really going to do the right thing here and not really try to make it be so much about himself, but really let it be about Macho Man and his family, you know, kind of giving the fans of Macho Man proper closure, as they have been waiting patiently for many years to see him go into the Hall of Fame. Now, the other thing that I think a lot of you all really need to be very mindful of is the fact that even though the Hulkster is going to be inducting Macho Man, you have to remember that since Macho Man is no longer amongst us, somebody has to represent him in accepting the induction. And that person is going to be Lanny Poffo. So I have a feeling that Lanny Poffo is going to be able to get all the mic time in the world, and he's going to be able to talk about his brother, and he's going to be able to thank the fans, all that. And look, kudos to Lanny as well. Lanny, you know, when it's all said and done, for years, this guy was trying to abide by Randy's wishes. Randy had always wanted for the entire Poffo family to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. He didn't want to just go in it alone. And that's exactly what Lanny the Genius Poffo tried to do. But looked as though WWE really wasn't quite budging on it. And so eventually Lanny just said, look, you know, it's not about me, it's not about my father, it's basically about the fans. You know, this is why this needs to happen. As I'm not sure how many of you all are aware of it, but he recently did a interview with Bill Apter. And Poffo had mentioned how he said before that he wouldn't budge on Savage Hall of Fame induction unless the whole family was inducted, which apparently Savage wanted. But Poffo felt that he shouldn't punish the fans anymore and let WWE go ahead with the induction. Poffo also talked about how Savage loved the fans. Poffo would go on record saying that he's not ashamed for making the decision that he made. So I know we have a few people that's out there, and you know, they're probably saying, you know, he's being a hypocrite. How much money did they offer him? And I know we have a lot of people that want to speculate on how this all had came together and everything. Look, I can tell you one thing: Triple H definitely had a large hand in this, and me and Titus talked at great length about how Triple H is just really furthering along his legacy, because you just think about the fact that he was able to get Bruno, he was able to get the Ultimate Warrior. These are guys with that old school type of mentality. They have a great appreciation for the business. They love the business. They want to try to do things by the right way for the business. It's all about the boys and everything, you know. And they just have that old school mentality. And Triple H, he's just able to come in there with that wrestler mindset, and he was just able to convince them that, hey, look, you know, it's a different era in our company. Look, I know exactly where you're coming from because I have that wrestler mindset just like you. Look, you could trust me, things are okay this go round. I'm coming more and more into power. However, he is pitching it to these guys. He got Bruno. He got Ultimate Warrior. The fact that he was able to get a hold of Lanny Poffo, and he got the green light to basically make this induction happen for the Macho Man Randy Savage. It just really says a lot about Triple H, or actually Paul Levesque. Let's make sure we really separate the two. Paul Levesque and Triple H really says a lot about Paul. You know, I don't really think he gets enough credit in the world, and I've said that time and time and time and time again. But I know a lot of people are going to continue to speculate on this and be like, you know, oh, well, the deal came together. I don't care about the details. I know Triple H probably had something to do with it, but I don't care about the details. I don't care about the money. None of that shit matters to me. What matters to me is that Macho Man finally is going in. Now, of course, there are other people that need to go in. If I'm the widow of Owen Hart, I'm looking at all these names that's going in. Maybe it's about time to pick up the phone and talk to Triple H or whoever. But honestly, I think before 2020, I have a strong feeling that Owen Hart is going to go into the Hall of Fame. Could he go in next year? No, I don't think so. If I were to look into the crystal ball, maybe 2018. He might go into the Hall of Fame, you know. Anything is possible. As you hear the old saying, never say never.